Greetings all, welcome to Sync Up, a show about OneDrive, the intelligent files app for Microsoft 365. We are your hosts, Ankita Kirti and Jason Moore. I'm Ankita Kirti, Product Manager on the OneDrive team.
And I'm Jason Moore, Group Program Manager for OneDrive. This show will take you behind the scenes of OneDrive, shedding light on how OneDrive connects you to all of your files in Microsoft 365 so you can share and work together from anywhere while protecting your work from accidental loss and malicious attacks.
In each episode, we'll cover important subjects and information about Microsoft OneDrive, including a dedicated topic, guest interviews, news and announcements, and a special significant topic outside of the technology norm.
Today, our guests are Catherine Feldman, Program Manager on OneDrive, and Michael Pierce, Senior Design Manager for OneDrive. We'll be talking with them about the engineering and design behind OneDrive's file sharing experience.
Today's topic is how OneDrive makes it easier for you to find and collaborate on files that are most important to you. Now, successful businesses require strong teamwork, whether you're working with someone in the same office or virtually across the globe. To be productive, an information worker needs to have the right set of tools to securely collaborate and share. And I think, and Jason, feel free to chime in here, the work that our team has done over the years to make sure that OneDrive empowers us to have this user experience without compromising on data security is the key reason to making OneDrive a core component in a customer's journey to digital transformation.
Absolutely. In fact, we kind of think about the pairing of how you want to have confidence in sharing as an end user. You want to know that when you share, it's going to be secure. You're not going to accidentally leak something or do something wrong. And then, of course, you also want to know that they're going to get to the file. They're going to be able to collaborate with you on those things. And we think about those in balance a lot. As we've kind of done this work, at the same time, you want to think about that administrator who's responsible for protecting the entire organization and being able to do that in a seamless and kind of consistent way. How do you give that confidence to those things? And that actually goes far beyond the work we do just in the OneDrive team and in the SharePoint team, really looking at the things we do with the information protection available across all of Office 365. Today, though, we're going to talk about a bit more specific topic as we get into it with Catherine and Michael, who are going to help us kind of find some of the interesting magic behind all of that. I'm so excited that we have Catherine and Michael on today's show. Catherine Feldman is a program manager on OneDrive. Catherine's responsible for our shared experience and focuses on making it easier for everyone to be able to collaborate and get work done together. Michael Pierce is a senior design manager for OneDrive. Michael is responsible for our collaboration and customer lifecycle experiences and thinking really deeply about how do those come across and how do they make people feel. All right. So Michael, Catherine, welcome to the show. And we kind of want to just dig in. I really wanted to know if you could walk us through, just as a way to set context, some of the research and analysis and feedback that you guys have taken in as you really think about how to make sharing more intuitive and more reliable.
So first off, thanks for having me on the show today. So for companies to trust moving their files to the cloud, it's really important for us here at OneDrive to create a sharing experience that's really well understood. We do this with intensive usability lab studies where we bring in our customers to give us feedback. And we're constantly trying out new designs with them to see if it's well understood. So by the time it reaches, everyone, we have that confidence here at OneDrive that it's well understood.
So when you do that, how often do you actually nail it on the first try? And what happens when you don't?
Yeah, I would say we never nail it on the first try. We do our best and then we learn from our customers. We're very customer focused. So we try out so many different iterations. We run it through the lab and we see what people do, listen, learn, and iterate again. So it means that we're constantly evolving the design. And so by the time we actually do build it, it's something that's really easy to use.
Last episode, we had Carlos Perez, who works closely with you, and I think you guys sit a couple feet apart in the design lab.
Yep.
And we talked about our component experiences and kind of how we make those coherent across all of Microsoft 365. How does sharing fit in?
Yeah, absolutely. So as Carlos mentioned in the last episode, right, it's a sharing component that every product in Office 365, when you share, it uses it. So what that means is when we iterate and when we learn and we bring that innovation to the control, we automatically can include that in every product that uses it. So all of our products here in Office 365 get the benefits.
Yeah, Michael captured all of that really well. This is Catherine. Thank you so much for having me on the show. From an engineering perspective, we also care a lot about how sharing is performing seamlessly through all of the experiences. And we take a lot of time to monitor how the experiences are going and making sure that everything is continuing to work as expected so that you can make sure that you have a reliable solution for all of your sharing and collaboration needs.
So that was interesting, Catherine. And I have a question for you, which is actually sourced from one of our social media handles. And before I do move on to the question, I would really want to thank to all our listeners for your comments and feedback. The response has been overwhelming, and both Jason and I are really surprised.
Absolutely.
And thank you for all the topic suggestions. And we are listening to your feedback and we are reading all your comments. So please keep them coming. So, Catherine, is there a specific feature that might have been requested in user voice that you found really interesting and you guys implemented eventually?
Yeah, absolutely. So I personally read user voice every single day. It comes up very frequently in all of our meetings. We talk about it in our planning meetings when we think about what features to build next and making sure that we really do have that understanding of what our customers need and what they want and how we can be better. So thank you so much to everyone who does submit their feedback there. We do look at it. We read every single comment, and we're really working hard to try to integrate that to make our product better. Some examples that come to mind are password-protected links. This was brought up in the last sync up, actually, and this is a great feature that we heard a lot of feedback about, that people really wanted to be able to have a more seamless way to share while still having the peace of mind of having that extra step where you do have that password that can prevent the other person from accidentally resharing it. This was a huge user voice ask, and it is available now, as Ankita mentioned in the last sync up.
That's awesome.
The second example is block download for Office files and the ability for admins to set anonymous link expirations per site. I believe this also came up in the last sync up. There's a lot of big celebration around all of this. And if you've been following our announcements, you'll know that we're actively working on file requests, which is something that we've heard a lot of people asking for. We demoed this at the recent SharePoint conference, and we're super excited to deliver this to our customers soon.
You know, I just want to echo sort of the enthusiasm that we have on the design team for user voice as well. Our design team is always in there reading the things that people are voting on, and we're really excited whenever we can deliver on those things that people find most useful.
Awesome. Okay, so all of that was really kind of centered around how is it easier, or you had a great line there, Catherine, how you have peace of mind in sharing. We think about that a lot. But another part of collaboration that always kind of strikes me as critical is how do you kind of stay on top of all the important and kind of things going on with different files? And, you know, I know for our work, we are constantly producing white papers and presentations and specifications and designs and plans. How kind of do you frame staying on top of that? And what are the things we're doing to make that easier?
Yeah, great question. So we're super passionate about helping our customers not just get your job done, but finding ways to go above and beyond and get your work done more easily. Many folks are busy, hardworking, and we at Microsoft are also like that. As Jason said, we have a lot of artifacts that are created constantly and a lot of things to keep track of that are demanding our attention. We're working really hard in OneDrive to try to make it easier to get stuff done. A couple examples that come to mind are Popular Around Me, which was announced at the SharePoint conference and was talked about in the last sync up. This is something that lives in your Shared With Me on OneDrive. This is a way to help stay on top of trending documents around your organization and helps you find things that may not live in the exact location that you frequently go to, but helps you keep a pulse on what's important around your organization, what people are working on, and helps you stay more connected with what important files are going around your organization. We also have the Recent View, which helps you get back to files in OneDrive that you've been recently working on and makes it super easy to get back to work where you were previously working.
Yeah, one of the things I really appreciate about all the recent work is how it's consistent across all my different places that I either go to work with my files or applications I use with them. So when I go to Word, the recent view there is the same recent view of those files that I get on Office.com, in OneDrive, and in all these other places that we surface that from. And I think that's a really clever way to kind of make sure that I'm able to keep track of and get back to the same things, and I don't have to memorize brand new kind of mechanisms for doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we care a lot about consistency and making it straightforward to have a similar experience across all of the different surfaces so that you know you'll be working the same way no matter where you are. Another example that comes to mind here is we have this feature called sharing reminder mails. We found that if a file isn't read within 7 days, it's 95% likely to be forgotten.
Wait a minute. Pause right there. Are you telling me that we know that if people don't open your file within a week, they're not likely to.
That is case.
That changes some things about my plans, but okay, that's good. That is grounding. So what do we do with that?
So there's often the situation where you're in a meeting and you receive an important file, but you can't really open it at that point in time. But now you can seamlessly know that you'll get a reminder in 7 days without you having to set anything else up or having to add any additional information. You know that for sure an email will come in your inbox 7 days later reminding you about that important file.
So that was interesting to know, and also realizing the fact that Jason's team is now aware that 95% it's likely they will not get a response from him. So moving on from that, tying back to the first question, Catherine and Michael, what was the research that went behind Popular Around Me, specifically as to the leading to the decisions like it featuring in Shared With Me view? And are there any data points on the performance that you can share since the rollout?
Yeah, absolutely. So we spent significant time trying to understand how and where our customers collaborate and get their work done. The customers we talked with often do go to Shared With Me to find their shared content. As a result, we came up with a hypothesis that by using artificial intelligence, we could help users discover important files that they already had access to, but as I mentioned before, they may not be located in that place where they normally collaborate. So we thought, well, if there's important documents that are trending in their organization, why don't we put that where they're already collaborating? We found that customers really responded positively to this and that they appreciated being able to keep a pulse on what's important in their organization. This is available now to all users, and we do find that it helps them keep a pulse on what their colleagues are working on and ensuring that they're always in the know.
I love this feature, because now when I go there, I can always see what's trending and I'm able to sort of learn about things that I didn't know about already.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we're always working to improve. We're trying to figure out the best ways that we can leverage Microsoft Graph and intelligence to help our customers work better together. So please, if you do have feedback, we would love to hear it.
This is one of the interesting things. You talked about the artificial intelligence on this, and I think it's worth kind of pausing for a moment on that this comes from kind of the combination of using Office 365 in all the ways that it comes together. The email, using Teams and chatting with others, the sharing and collaboration you do allows us to have, through the Microsoft Graph, one of the most powerful kind of ways to say, we believe this is going to be interesting. And I think it's really neat to see how well that hypothesis is performed.
I actually got a very interesting question today that we say OneDrive is the intelligent files app for Microsoft 365. So what do you mean by intelligent? Like, how is it intelligent? And this is exactly how, right? We are investing so much into the ML and the Microsoft Graph part of it. One feature that I forgot to mention earlier on the topic of how we make it easier to stay on top of important and relevant content is something that we announced at SharePoint conference, which was Save for Later. I think that, along with the pinned view in office.com, can also be very easy for us or for end users to get back to the important documents. Any research or any inputs on how we came up with that particular feature?
Sure. So, we know that people are working with so many different groups of people, and sometimes they keep files, when they're working with some people in one location, but they want to reference it very regularly. So for people to be able to keep a reference to it handy by just pinning it, makes it so much easier for them to get back to it. So that's what sort of some of the things that we've learned. Is there anything else that you want to bring up?
Yeah, I think a scenario that I've heard come up a little bit with this is if you have something stored in a shared library that you don't frequently go to. So maybe this is HR shared library or something, and you're interested in, let's say, some of the promotion considerations, and you'd want to be able to get back to this document frequently, but you don't really go to the HR shared library that often. This would be a great scenario to use Save for Later, where you could pin it to your OneDrive and come back to it later without having to search through your bookmarks and find it all over again.
That's all great. But, something that occurs to me, we've been talking about kind of how that end experience really works. And it's important to think about and kind of recap on the administrative side. Do you want to talk a little to that?
Sure. We're very cognizant of making sure that all of your files and documents are safe and secure in OneDrive and that they honor all of your existing policies. This is, of course, true for Popular Around Me as well. Regardless of where it lives, it honors all of your existing policies that you may have set for your site or otherwise. From a design perspective, I think Michael might have some good perspective to add here as well.
As part of designing these features, we think about it end to end. This includes the administrator experience, so keeping into account data governance, policy. So really, the design won't show you files that you don't have access to.
So this is the end of our main interview, but we do have a few more questions for Catherine and Michael. Jason, would you like to go ahead with your question?
I would love to go ahead. I'm prepared. I'm ready. And I have a great question this time for you. This is for Michael and Catherine. This is something we always like to just learn a little bit more about you, ask an interesting question, share some stuff about the world. My question today is, what is your favorite extreme sport? And I'll go first. I'll just kind of get you started. My favorite extreme sport is actually introduced to me by a member of the OneDrive Sync engineering team, Jack Nichols, and that's extreme ironing. And if you don't know what extreme ironing is, it's a very exciting sport where people take photos of each other with ironing boards and irons in the most ridiculous and dangerous of places. And it's quite enjoyable. So
Jason, you took mine.
That's
Yeah, I was about to say that too. No, but you know what? I do a lot of extreme things, Jason.
I know.
I grew up watching the X Games, and so that led me to try out a few things. So let's see. Extreme sport. I'm going to go ahead and go with snowboarding. Here in the Pacific Northwest, specifically Washington, we have a lot of great places to go. Crystal Mountain or Stevens. So that's what I'm going to go with.
Okay, awesome.
Well, you are all going to learn a fun fact about me. So my favorite extreme sport is horseback riding. I used to be an avid horseback rider. I was very competitive. I did it up until college just about, and was considering going into the Olympics, actually.
Whoa.
So, yeah, took a hard right and decided to go into tech instead. But
we lucked out, and I think we have a next morale event. Okay, that's
awesome.
Exciting.
Yep.
I grew up watching WWE. I'm pretty sure that would not have been an encouraging extreme sports to take up. So for me right now, I think my extreme sport would be starting binge watching a series at 10 p.m. in the night on a Sunday till 4 a.m. on a Monday morning, and then showing up to work and completing my work. So yes.
We never noticed. What's your question today?
Same as last time. So we are on a great podcast, and we would want our guests to let us know what are their favorite podcasts.
Podcasts. I personally don't listen to a whole lot of podcasts, but I did come across one recently that I thought was really fascinating. It's not tech related. It's called You Must Remember This, and it's a podcast about the secret and forgotten history of Hollywood's first century. What I like about it is the host, Karina, does a great job of researching and sharing, some juicy drama about past icons.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm not much of a podcast person either, but I do enjoy one called How I Built This, which offers some insight into how companies you know and love came to be, their pitfalls, successes, strategies, etc. It's super interesting and valuable, especially for product people. There was recently one on Dippin' Dots, which was very interesting, which is my favorite ice cream. So I was partial to that one. Would recommend.
Okay, cool. I didn't think we'd get a Dippin' Dots reference in this show, but I love that. And I'll go next. I mean, even though they're showing up on our podcast, I just want to mention one because they both said that they're not really into podcasts.
Oh.
I love Masters of Scale, which actually is a little bit similar to what you recommended, Catherine. And it's with Reid Hoffman. It's a fantastic show. Lots of interesting things happen in terms of folks talking about kind of businesses and how they built them out and scaled them. I recommend starting at the first episode and listening through. There's some fantastic tidbits.
I'm in marketing. I would still recommend Intrazone. I'll keep on doing that.
I think you can do that. Well, there's so much more to talk about with sharing. And in fact, we're going to continue to bring it in future episodes of Sync Up. But that's all our time for today. So thank you so much, Michael and Catherine, for being here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
And so, one of the things that people always ask is, how do I find out more? How do I interact with the team? How do I get engaged on this? And I just want to remind people about our tech community blog. You can get to it at aka.ms/OneDrive/blog. Next up, news, announcements, and important upcoming events. So don't go away.
This past month, we released a bunch of exciting features. The first one was popularly requested feature, Differential Sync. For those of you who don't know, Differential Sync brings the ability to sync only parts of large files that have been changed, not the entire file. It makes the process of file synchronization faster and also reduces bandwidth consumption, as well as the time taken to upload or download the file. Differential Sync is already available for Office file types, Over the course of the next few months, we'll roll it out to support all file types, be it PDF, JPEG, MP4, etc. Talking about sync, another cool feature that is now generally available is Windows Virtual Desktop. You can explore the feature by accessing the link in the show notes. But in a gist, Windows Virtual Desktop is the only service that provides multi-session Windows 10 experience, optimizations for Office 365 Pro Plus that does include OneDrive, and support for Windows Server remote desktop services. And now, OneDrive features like Files on Demand and Known Folder Move are available in the Windows Virtual Desktop environment. We are pleased to announce the general availability of AutoCAD-based previews of DWG files in OneDrive and SharePoint that will help you see all the extended details as you focus and zoom on different facets of the CAD drawings. When you need to further explore or edit these drawings, use the built-in links to the AutoCAD web app to open files directly from OneDrive. Link to the announcement blog is in the show notes. Now, as a team, we always strive to make file sharing experiences easy and consistent throughout Microsoft 365. And the next feature is a testament to that. We have recently launched common sharing experiences in Outlook web app. So now when you copy and paste a link to a file stored in OneDrive, Outlook web app will reconcile the file name as a hyperlink instead of pasting the full URL, as well as give you the control to then change the access permission on the shared link. Pretty cool, right? Last month, we delivered a webinar on the advantages of syncing your files with OneDrive, where we demonstrated how you can stay connected to all your files from anywhere and at any time using the OneDrive Sync client. So if you are interested to learn more about the cool features like Files on Demand, Known Folder Move, or the recently released features that I just spoke about some time back, like Differential Sync and Windows Virtual Desktop, please be sure to access the recordings and resources at ak.ms/OneDrive on demand. Also, this is a new web page that we have recently launched and is a one-stop shop for all our webinars, podcasts, and customer stories. Again, all the info is available in the show notes.
So something we always like to ask, and I personally always love to hear, what is your favorite OneDrive feature?
Ooh, definitely going to have to go with being able to add an expiration date on links when you share it. You know, when I'm not working on OneDrive, I do a lot of music photography. So being able to give a client a link to download and adding that expiration date really gives me that peace of mind. And you know what? It also gives that urgency to the people that I share it with that they need to get it soon because they're not going to have access forever. Really a win-win for everyone.
There's so many amazing features on OneDrive to choose from, but if I had to pick one, I'd have to go with, on the OneDrive mobile app, the scan feature. And of course, if you have an Android device, this functionality is available as well.
Last month, we delivered a webinar on the advantages of syncing your files with OneDrive, where we demonstrated how you can stay connected to all your files from anywhere and at any time using the OneDrive Sync client. Be sure to look at our show notes for links on how you can watch the webinar. Based on popular demand, we launched the OneDrive On Demand page. It's a one-stop shop for all our webinars, podcasts, and customer stories.
Of course, we have Ignite coming up. It is a big show, and we're so incredibly excited about it. There's over 25,000 people that come there. We have over 1,000 sessions. And for the OneDrive team, we're going to be talking about everything from the sync client to mobile to web experience to the graph to sharing and collaboration and some new features you haven't even seen yet. And on top of that, we have a big setup for our booth. We'll be bringing team members from across the entire team. So if you have a question about anything, they're going to be there. I'm really excited about it. In fact, we just came from the meeting on the session I'll be doing, kind of the OneDrive keynote, across kind of what are we going to demo, what are we going to announce, who's going to be on stage. It's pretty exciting, and I can't wait to see it all come together and see all of you there.
And beyond the big event, Ignite the Tour continues across the globe with cities now posted through 2019 into 2020. The link is in the show notes, so you can find the city nearest to you and meet us there. For more information, visit Microsoft.com/Ignite and on Twitter @MS_Ignite. Last month, as a special topic, we discussed how being better allies encourages a diverse and inclusive environment in the workplace. Jason, what do you have for us today?
So this month, I thought it'd be interesting to talk a little bit about the idea of creating welcoming spaces where everyone can do their best work. This is complicated by so much of the world we live in today. Remote work, generational divides, the different kinds of technologies we can employ in these. It just makes it a more challenging space. But I thought it'd be interesting to kind of start with what we wrote for our own team cultural priorities around this particular subject. And here it is. Community is born from a shared understanding and trust. We onboard new employees and remote geographies and foster transparency in plans.
I really like the idea of communities being centered around shared understanding and trust. I think trust is a very powerful thing, and most of times we feel we need to build trust to be vulnerable. And it's a natural instinct, but in reality, if you are vulnerable with someone, you tend to build trust. And for example, earlier this year, you and I were presenting at the Ignite tour, and I was really nervous about it because we had to co-present, and I was like, whoa, with such a seasoned person who was, in quotes, born to do this. And then we had the conversation, and you shared you were nervous as well. And we rehearsed, and you rehearsed with me as many times as I would have, if not more. And then that made me feel fine, and it made me feel confident and grounded and humbled that, yeah, I'm not alone in this journey, and everyone goes through the same journey.
No, that's absolutely right. And in fact, if you've ever been to, for you the listener, if you've ever been to one of our conferences, know that everyone on our team has some amount of that. Certainly if you've ever seen me on stage, I'm nervous up until the moment I step on stage. And, we work really hard at preparing to kind of do the best work we can with that, but it's a normal thing. So that's actually a really great example of it. Of course, we want to think hard about how people new to our team also, or new to Microsoft, are going to be set up in the best way for success. We think that's part of building that community is when new members connect in. And today our team is worldwide. We have an amazing set of folks here in Redmond, but in addition, there's some equally awesome folks on our teams in India and China. And we collaborate together across the globe really to build what OneDrive and SharePoint are today. Now, we're fortunate enough to have this team, but we have to continually keep in mind, how do we make that work? How do we make it always feel like we're one team and we're all kind of pulling in the same direction?
Is that why you always use video in conference calls?
Well, that's one example. I always love that one because it's the opportunity to kind of share and connect in a more humane way and kind of bring that into it. When you have video on, you're kind of showing that you're present in that conversation. And I think that really helps, at almost subconscious levels for us to all kind of look at each other and see each other and just recognize we're a whole bunch of humans trying to get something done, even in the hardest conversations. And of course, on top of that, we have abilities like live translation in calls. And it's kind of amazing how that broadens everyone's understanding. Even though most of our business really is conducted in English, we have folks that are coming at it from very different levels of kind of experience and background in English. And so the ability to also get translations can help a conversation right along so that we all kind of understand each other and what we're doing.
And of course, the transparency aspect is important. We can only all grow together if we know where we are going, right?
No, that's absolutely true. And it turns out that we'll get better ideas out of everybody if we're all kind of working from the same map.
Thanks, Jason. That's great. I'm looking forward to hearing about it more and also feedback from all you folks who are listening to us right now. Thank you to our guests, Catherine and Michael. To learn more about OneDrive and the latest developments, please follow our tech community blog at aka.ms/OneDrive/blog.
Please do reach out to us with questions and feedback. You can reach us via Twitter at OneDrive, at Jasmo, and at Ankita_Kirti21. And definitely visit our show page for links, resources, and more at aka.ms/syncup. That's SYNCUP. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. And feel free to tell your friends, colleagues, or maybe everyone else around you in the coffee shop. And if you've enjoyed Sync Up, write a review. It really does help new listeners learn about and find the show. We all know how important and impactful sharing can be.
Thank you for listening to Sync Up, a show about OneDrive, the intelligent files app for Microsoft 365. We are your hosts, Ankita Kirti and Jason Moore. Subscribe, engage, and stay tuned for next month's episode. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Ankita. I feel like I'm supposed to give you something in that. I don't think there's any.
Yeah, this happened last time also. Like we've said bye.
Sometimes I have too much ego at the end of a week, so I really appreciate coming here to record this.